Hello, and welcome to another episode of This Is Our Year. I'm your host, Michael Curlin. Joining me, as always, my partner in crime, Douglas E. Freshington.
Douglas
Dougie, how you
E.
doing? How we
The
doing?
E's for extra energy today. Feeling great. How we doing, man? I see that you got the I Heart Dad mug going, so
Yes,
you're off to
I
a good
am.
start.
Yes, I got little. My mother-in-law got this for me for Father's
Nice.
Day. Little I love dad picture of the baby. Cute picture. I mean, my daughter is adorable. I know every parent says that, but
Right.
she's
No,
really
she is.
she's
Yeah.
adorable. She's also like 25 pounds. So she's a big 9 month old baby, almost 9 month old baby. She's her three almost 3 year old cousins were over yesterday, and they're two little boys, and they're 35 pounds at like 2 years and 9 months. They're they're only a week apart, but 3 years apart, and or 2 years apart, 3 years apart. I don't know,
Yeah.
2 years apart. So
Yeah.
they're
No, that's
35 pounds, and Aurelia is 25 pounds, 2 years less than him. So it's to me that's insanity. Like she's just like we. So Alex had her friends over last week that just recently all had kids, and Aurelia is the first of all of our friend group kids, but these kids are like a month or two behind, and there's only one kid that is bigger than her, and he's a chunk. I think he actually weighs 25 pounds, and he's only like 6 months old. But the rest of them are like, they're like 10, 11 pounds. Like
yeah.
it's like fucking putting Andre the Giant next to a midget, dude. It's just
Andrew Thomas versus Cole Beasley.
yes.
Good on the Giants to lock up Thomas, but we'll get to that. I'm drinking in honor of the Mets. Actually, this is one of my favorite beers, and my eyes lit up when I saw it, and I grabbed all as much as I could. The Tank 7 American Saison out of Kansas City,
What
I believe.
what's a saison? What
I
is
don't
an
know,
American
man.
saison? I mean, you're the beer expert guy. You do the beer every day.
Yeah,
I
but
don't
you
I
know
don't
what?
drink it.
Not one of those like I'm a nerd in a lot of ways, but I don't. Just give me the beer. I'll
Yeah.
taste it. Like I don't.
Yeah. Like, dude, I went to Chelsea. I went to the AC Milan Juventus friendly out here in LA last on Thursday night,
Nice.
and I got a Modelo. There was all these
Yeah.
friggin' different beers I could choose from. I'm like, just give me a Modelo. Like, I
I
can easily drink a Modelo, and it's
any
fine.
anywhere, and I'm going to walk right into it here, but I'll help you out there. I believe that's what I was going to at the Mets game last week that we went to. That there's not much to talk about that day, so we can just move on. But yeah, no, dude, Modelo works at anywhere. I guess they're killing it because of the Bud Light crowd. Moving on.
Oh my god,
So yeah, good for them, and it's a good beer.
it's good drinkable,
Yeah.
ballpark beer. And out here, they are usually, you know, the LA. It's one of the LA favorites. So
Are you an especial guy or the Negro?
Estrella Especial. I
Yeah.
mean,
Or no,
I think
you
that's
know what?
Dodger
I'm thinking of
Stadium's.
Modelo. Like there's a Negro Modelo, right? There's a black one.
Yeah, yes,
Yeah.
there is. That one is good too.
Yeah.
But I mean, dude, I'm just not a beer guy in general. I
Yeah.
don't drink beer at all.
Well,
It's limited to stadiums at this
s-
point in my life.
someone's got to do it. So cheers.
Cheers.
52 episodes in, the streak continues. Four more to Joe
Mm.
D.
Hmm.
I think that was 56. Um, yeah. What do you want to talk about? Hey, look at my shirt.
I might barf. Nice. You hungover?
No, no,
No.
not mentioning that for any reason.
I do have to bring up our text exchange. So Doug and I and one of our other buddies, Josh, get into this text exchange. Usually about sports. Sometimes if Josh has had enough to drink, it'll be random like '90s hip hop
Oh yeah.
artists or artwork that is very obscure that I get lost in. I don't know what the fuck he's talking about. Last night was a special one. Last night, first of all, Doug participates probably 10% of the time.
Right.
And last night, Doug and Josh were like full 100%, and I was standing on the sidelines like, what the fuck are you guys talking about? So that's when I realized, like,
I was getting
Douglas,
weird. Well, that's what I love to do because whenever someone's taking a conversation like in a too serious path, I like to fuck with that. So I was also out in Sono for a couple of birthdays. There may have been a sake bomb or two involved before I jumped into that conversation. So I was feeling good, man. I remember typing the words signed Mike Glennon picture, and I don't remember why. But
That's kind of where he lost me. But
yeah,
he kept going with it. Like I figured you guys knew what you were talking about, and I was just like,
yeah.
Joe Flacco's tall, Mike Glide, and I was just like,
Yeah, no,
what?
I wasn't following either. I was
But
just
the
throwing more fuel on the fire. Like,
yeah, well, mission accomplished. But from my point of view, the bet so the way this conversation started, and I think this is a good segue,
sure,
is we can talk a little bit. Let's talk a little bit about fantasy,
yeah.
right now, right? Why not?
Hope
And
springs eternal in late July.
in at the end of July, exactly. We got
Yeah,
drafts coming up. We got keepers ready to be named, and
yep.
Mr. Rosen was, he likes to do. He is the drunk trader. That should be his fucking team name, but it's something
He is the
obscure.
defending
Also,
champ. We got to take him down.
he is the defending champ. We do
No,
have to
let's
take
give
him
him
down.
credit.
First time for everything. Right? No, good credit where credit's due. He won the championship last year. No asterisks, but
Fucking
he.
Tyreek.
Oh my god.
I traded
But
for
so
Chase instead of Tyreek, and Chase immediately, of course, his hip disintegrates immediately.
yes.
Ugh. Anyway,
I mean, you can't say, of course. You have 3 rings. You have 3 rings. You have 3 rings, Doug. There's no
I
boo-hooing
like how
here.
you're counting the really old league that maybe doesn't count in our league. Thank you for the three.
Oh, the first year when you had Michael Vick and that was it.
And yeah, it
I
was on like a
remember
weird website.
it was on the ESPN
Yeah.
website before it was what
No,
it is today.
no, you know what? No, like I swear to God, in like 2005, we had a Yahoo league before this league, and I think I won that one. And then we jumped into Greater Norwalk. Anyway, go. I
Probably,
digress.
probably, but that league died when we left Yahoo.
Right.
I don't remember any of that, but you're probably right. But But this guy last night got on the horn with us on text and started trumpeting how awesome he was because he had outsmarted the whole league and he had given up his third round pick for 2 6th round picks and a 7th round pick. And he was like, jerking himself off so hard that he broke his wrist. And I didn't understand. Like I was like, what am I missing? What am I missing? And he's like, the 6th round, bro. The 6th round is where all the value is in the top 7 rounds. And I'm like,
Yeah, I mean that part was definitely
what?
funny. I at
Yes.
least understand what he's doing. He likes to throw darts. He's low on picks. He wants some darts. Um,
I guess I get that whole
yeah.
premise, but when you give up a 3rd round pick for two
Hmm.
sixths and a seventh, I don't understand why there wasn't a fourth or a fifth involved. Like that
Yeah,
seems
and not only that, you got to think of these picks as like plus three. So it's really like a 6th round pick in a regular draft for like a bunch of like nines and shit.
maybe
You know.
like +2, right? Because some of
Yeah,
the players, plus some of the
that's
players
fair.
you pick are obscure. Like I'm keeping I am keeping some decent keepers this year, but that's because I was stunk last year and just scoured the waiver wire and
Right.
picked up injured players that nobody had on their team, that hoping that they were going, or suspended players hoping they were going to come back, and I was right about a few of them. So
Because you are the king of
tank 7.
the tank.
Hey,
You have
hey
tanked
man,
7 times at least. Yes.
I have tanked maybe 2 or 3 times, but I also have 4 rings, Doug. So
I know.
just I
Wait,
can't
wait,
lift
wait.
my
I
I
got to
can't lift
keep
my
it
left
going, man.
hand.
I
This
got
is
to
about
take
as hot.
shots where I can.
This is about as high as I can get my hand because
Yeah.
it's being weighted down.
Yeah. Speaking of
It's being
jerking
weighted.
off.
This wrist is broken for sure. Oh man.
So I
So
forgot what we were talking about. Oh, I don't know. It's
ah,
it's it's a fun time of year though, right?
it
Everyone
is.
is hasn't been like crushed by fantasy football yet. We forget how much of a painful process and just a whole season of like a whole like 4 months of the calendar of just aggravation, right?
It's
And
dude, it's so much anxiety, like especially because you always have some asshole going on Monday night, and you're always down by like
yeah,
possibly an amount where you could either like make or break your week. Not every week, but at least probably half the weeks of the year. You have one guy on your
s-
team going on Monday night
so obnoxious.
who
Or the
who and you
opposite, where you're done and you're waiting for
right,
some asshole to like score 7 points.
right.
Yeah.
And so I can tell you, you make a really valid point. Last year, I played in 4 leagues and I finished in the bottom 4 in all 4 of those leagues. I didn't make the
Last year was
playoffs in
brutal.
one league.
Yeah,
Brutal. So many injuries. Every fucking gamble I took exploded in my face. I
me
was
too.
so high. I was like Rashard Penny. Yeah, he's finally gonna fucking take off in
Should have
that
known on
backfield.
that one.
I did, but I also drafted him late. But I went, I went like one running back in the first 4 round. I didn't take any running backs until the 7th round, 6th or 7th round, whenever the
Yeah,
hell I took his ass. And I was like, yeah, this is my sleeper guy. And tore an ACL like week 1 or some shit like that. And that
immediately.
at that point, I was like, okay, I can't start 7 wide receivers, and even if I could, none of the guys that I have are playing well because I also drafted Chris Godwin and I drafted Lamar. So every guy I had
Yeah,
last year that I thought was going to just explode did explode, but physically not actually on the field.
you remember
So
what I did? I talked myself into Allen Robinson in the
you did.
second round. I took Sky Moore over Chris Olave in another league.
Yep.
Oh yeah, I was lighting it up. I traded for Jamar. He immediately got hurt. Good stuff. Good times. Anyway,
But you're keeping Jamar this year, right?
oh yeah, I mean, thank God he came back, but it was like it was a hip injury. It was like
Yes.
Bo Jackson surgery time. Great. That's my
Right.
franchise.
Yep.
Anyway, and I will say this though, it's kind of a hopeful time of year, but it's the worst time of year in the NFL, in my opinion. Training camp is just hoping no one gets hurt. Joe Burrow's already hurt, right?
Yep.
Um,
Which
uh,
affects Chase for you, right?
yeah,
Because I don't even know who their backup is, right?
Jesus, yeah. So
Like
like I'm already
Brandon
mad,
Allen.
and I thought I had to keep Joe Mixon in that league, and now what is he like? His values, I don't know. Anyway, but whatever. The Giants locked up Andrew Thomas, and they got the Saquon thing done. We haven't been on in a couple weeks. I'm feeling good. I'm feeling good about the Giants.
Yeah, I think so. We'll get to Cole Beasley in a second, but
I know.
so Andrew Thomas, 5 year, like I don't know. He was he's this is his last year. Next year would have been his 5th year, right? So this is his 4th year.
I
Because
forget, but yeah,
yeah,
like
he was
they had
drafted
to
in the
do
same
this.
draft. He was drafted in the same draft from Makai. Now, did they um, get his 5th year and then tack on the contract, or did they just give him a whole new contract starting next year?
That's a really good question. I think it was a whole new contract, but honestly, I'm a little embarrassed. I don't know.
Yeah. So like
I
this is Quinnen's 5th year,
yeah.
and we gave him a 4 year deal. Also, not to steal the limelight, but we are keeping him at his 5th year contract, rookie option
Yeah, right.
contract
And then
this
it's 4
year,
years after.
4 years
Yeah.
after, right? So
Right.
either way,
Yeah, that
it's
would
still
make
great.
sense. It's still
Andrew
great, and
Thomas, yeah, you needed him locked up. He's your left tackle of
and
the present and future.
absolute cornerstone. Let's hope Evan Neal can do the same in the next few years. We got both sides of the line locked up,
Well,
and
think about it though. Andrew Thomas, if I asked you at year 1 if you thought you'd be here after year 1, you'd be like, no, he's a bust.
yeah,
He had a
he had a
terrible rookie
rough
year.
rookie year. Absolutely,
And
great
so
call.
and so did Evan Neal.
Yep,
So the guy Evan Neal
that's
is
fine.
6'7", 330, athletic freak, and he's playing right tackle, which is less difficult of the
Right.
two tackle spots. Give the kid a year. He even though he came out of
Oh, I
Alabama,
am.
and yeah, I think your offensive line will be top 5 in the league for the next 5 years minimum.
Let's hope. I mean, let's hope this center works out. He's not going to start right away, maybe, but yeah. And then on the other side of the ball, they locked up Dexter too. It
Yeah,
was.
you
This has been a very good offseason. There are a lot of Danny Jones haters out there, but whatever.
You
You
had to
know,
do it. We talked
yeah,
about this when we started the offseason. We talked about what if we had to franchise one of the two guys.
yeah.
You said you want to sign Jones and franchise Barkley, which is
I
exactly
mean,
what
you
happened.
you don't love it, but I think that was the right move.
Dude, Saquon is going to be 27 this year if
Yeah,
he's not already. Is that right? He had ACL surgery. Is he 2 or 3 years removed? I think he's 3 years removed, right?
yeah, two or
Last year
three.
was his second year.
He's had at
So
least
yeah,
two injury years. So
yeah,
yeah,
he had the ankle one year, right? So,
right.
so he had a monster year last year, but and it's really sad the devaluation of running backs
It
from a
sucks.
pay standpoint because now these guys are making personal decisions. Like Jacobs hasn't reported, Saquon was
Yeah.
threatening to hold out. We got one. Who's the other guy? There's one other
Dalvin
guy
got
that's
dumped. What's
Dalvin
his?
got dumped because he was he had a not a great year last year. Like he had
Yeah, yeah.
numbers wise, it was good, but like everything else he does was bad, and he's also a fucking off the field problem.
Well,
So
we're going to get to him, but yeah, there's one other running back, and Jonathan Taylor was speaking up. Najee was speaking up on this. They're coming up for contracts, so they
yeah,
see the writing on the wall, and it really sucks in Barkley's case because he's such a warrior. He's a good dude. He's not like the problem guy. And he
and,
wants to get
and
paid.
so what? So let's talk about it. What do you like? I actually have a proposed solution,
Hmm.
but I mean, I don't know if the NFL would ever do it
Yeah.
because it's just more money.
Did you
Like,
see, like, I forget which owner made a bitchy comment about this, like something about how
it was
they,
like
they
Ursay. Jim
yeah, they're
Ursay
like,
shit
yeah,
on Saquon for
which is
like, oh,
one
you
of the worst owners, which is
shocker.
saying a
Yeah,
lot.
right. Shocker.
He's
Jim
up
Irsay
there.
had something to say. He
Yeah.
definitely drinks way too much and then
Oh
drunk
God.
tweets. Him and
He,
Josh would have the exchange between the two of those guys would be
oh my
epic.
God, it'd be the worst.
If we could get Bob Huggins like to like fly in for that, try and triangulate that whole thing, that'd be great.
I wanna like pick up my guitar and jam with James Dolan and Jim Irsay. I'll bring all the drugs. Let's do it,
Right.
boys.
And then we can like fucking name Isaiah Thomas the GM of the Colts and fucking make Randy Ballard the I think that's who what's Chris Pollard, Chris Ball I don't
Chris
know. What was like
Polian, I forget.
maybe no, that's
Yeah.
Bill Polian. He used to be
I don't think you have access. You remember Deadspin they used to do every year why your team sucks. It's on
yeah.
Defector now, which you have to pay for, and I do. I might send you some of these. The one they just did on the Colts was all about Ursay, and it was fucking hilarious. So
Yes.
I always send you the Jets one. I'll try to like
Send
circulate
me the
some more of
Jets one
them.
and maybe bring the Colts one so we can read a little bit about it on air next time.
Oh, absolutely.
Just to make me
Or you
laugh.
know what? I might just like do a compendium of all my favorite fan comments because that's the best part. Fans write in trashing their own team. And for those
Yes.
who don't know the format, it's not like saying which team is good and bad every year. This guy trashes every single franchise leading up to the year, like in reverse order of how good they are. So he
Who
starts with
does
the
it?
bad teams.
Is it Drew Magary
Yeah,
still?
Bill Drew Magary. Yep,
Drew Magary. I mean, that guy.
he writes
I
a
don't
good
know if
rant.
he. I don't. Yeah, I don't know if he's a sports commentator or a novelist or
He's
whatever.
both. Yeah,
I know. I read his book, The Hike, and like
yeah,
he was
it's good
definitely on
stuff.
drugs when he wrote it. It was good. It was good, but there was some drugs involved, and
Yeah,
I
probably. I mean,
definitely.
by the way, the dude almost died a few years ago. So
Oh, that's
like
right.
had
He
it
had like
um
didn't
an
he have
event
like
like
some in his brain? I thought he had like some intestinal thing, but good
yeah
for him.
like
I'm glad he's still around, and he definitely is hilarious with his satirical rants on. Is it satirical? Would that be the right word? Maybe
oh
not. Yeah.
yeah like everything. Just sometimes just angry, right?
Mm.
It's a good controlled anger though.
But back to what
I
were you
forgot
talking
we were
about?
talking.
We were talking
Oh,
about
the running
Saquon.
backs. Yeah,
So my proposed solution would be there should be a designated running back, starting running back. You know, separate from the cap. Every team, here's your cap. Your cap is 105 million, and of that cap, like you have an extra 10 million, and that 10 million can go to your starting running back if he deserves it. Something like that, or like
would they have to be drafted by the team? Is this like the Larry Bird rule kind of in the NBA? Like
I
sort
don't
of.
know. Maybe I mean
Um,
maybe you pay your own running backs with that, and you can play. It's kind of like but it's that. What's different than the franchise? I guess nothing, right? But I don't
they
know.
used to
Does
have
like
something else. Remember, it was like what did they call that
there was
thing?
the franchise, and then there was the transition tag. They still have the
Transition. Yeah.
transition tag. No one
Oh,
fucking
they do.
uses it anymore.
No.
Yeah. So the franchise tag has changed now, where it used to be you could tag the person every year, and it was the top 10 at that position's average salary was what they
Yeah.
got. And if you did it 2 years in a row, there was an escalator in there. Now, you can only do it 2 years in a row because people were using it as a way to keep someone long term. And the
Yeah.
problem
That's
with that
suppressed
franchise
wages.
tag, yeah, the problem with the franchise tag is there's no guaranteed money. And that's why everyone hates it
Yep.
because that's where everyone makes their money in the NFL is their signing bonus, right? So you sign a 10-year, $100 million contract. I'm just making things up. And from that 10-year, $100 million contract, you know, 2 years are guaranteed at 20 million, and then you get a signing bonus of 20 million. So you're guaranteed 40 million because in the NFL contracts are not they're not enforced, right? So you can cut
Right.
someone after all the guaranteed money's gone, and then you can prorate whatever that guaranteed money was over the course of like the next few years that you wrote. So most of these contracts are actually what you see come out is not the actual contract.
Oh, it's
Most of these
always
contracts
nonsense. Yeah.
are like 7 years, like 27 million for 7 years with,
Right.
49 million guaranteed, and they just front load everything. So that way you can, when you cut,
You can
if and
cut
when
the
you
guy
cut
later.
someone, yeah.
Yeah.
And like, it's
It's
just
the
a
only
really
sport
weird
where you could
way.
do that.
Yeah. It's the only non-guaranteed contract sport in
Yeah.
all of the major sports. So, and I think it's a lot of it has to do with the shelf life of the player. A lot
It
of it
does.
has to do with um,
It's the nature of the
the
sport, man.
enormity of the enormity of the roster.
Roster.
I mean, it's the
Yeah.
biggest roster by
Yeah.
far,
Like
and when you got a lot of fringe guys on the bottom part of the roster, you can't
if
be giving them guaranteed
if
contracts, right?
everything was guaranteed, it would be a mess. It would just be a logjam for most
Right.
teams.
Well, you couldn't have a
Yeah.
cap. You couldn't have a cap
Yeah.
because you
Basically.
every
Right.
time you cut someone, you'd be owing them this money, right?
Right.
So that's why the bottom half of your roster, a lot of these guys have very minimal guarantees, very minimal signing bonuses, and it's just non-guaranteed money. You have to prove yourself to get to that point, and that I think is where the running back issue is like,
Yep.
okay, I have proven myself now, but
Right.
most running backs age out after 4 years. So by
Right. Which is
26,
the rookie
you're already on,
contract. Yeah.
which is 4 years is the rookie. So maybe that's how they change it. Maybe running back contracts are only 2 years
Yeah.
and every other position 4 years.
I like
But then
that too.
that becomes a mess too. There's got to be some sort of like in the MLS, which not to go to a. I mean, I'm jumping all over the place, but
No, man. Fucking Messi's here now. It's big
they
time
have
sport.
designated player contracts. So they have two, right? And you
Yeah.
can sign those two players for whatever the fuck you want, and it
I like that.
doesn't count towards your cap. But then if you open that up to everyone, then what? So I don't know, man. There's got to be
What
a
do you
way to
mean? I mean,
designate.
there is so much money in the NFL. I don't want
I'm
to
not
hear owner.
saying
I
I'm
don't want to
not
hear
saying
owners
that they
saying
can't.
like, yeah.
But they want a cap in place. This is how they have cost control. Payroll is their biggest expense,
Oh yeah. Now, I'm
and
not
they
saying get rid of the cap, but I like that idea of like two players who just don't count. I don't know.
right, right. Maybe you have your running back contract doesn't count towards your cap. Maybe your running back room
Yeah.
doesn't count towards your
I'm
cap.
sure there's
Uh,
something they're going to
Or
fight
maybe
over.
your any running back not on a rookie contract doesn't count towards your cap, so you can re-sign your guys,
Interesting.
give them
Okay.
some money. They're still not going to want to pay them 20 because, I mean, yes, there's definitely collusion going on in the NFL
Hmm.
on the running back position and what they're getting paid, but if you look at the last 10 years of historical data, probably longer, after the first contract, when these guys get paid, they fall off a cliff within 1 to 2 years. There's a few anomalies to that,
Right.
like
But
Adrian
that is the
Peterson.
data, though. You're
That is
right.
the data. So it's like, I don't
It's a
know.
tough spot for them. Yeah. I
Maybe
I,
they
li-
do,
I like that 2 years and like not unrestricted, but some kind of like
or maybe they do. Maybe they do a bonus for the running back year end bonus based on the stats they put up that doesn't count towards the cap.
yeah, something
Like
like
yeah,
that.
okay, you know how they have the one for the rookie player. The rookie players have that if they play a certain amount of downs, if they finish at a certain like
All kinds of
if they're
incentives, right? Like
right,
contract
if you're like a
incentives.
6 round draft pick and you outplay your
Hmm.
draft position where you were making like you're signed to a 4 year deal worth like
Yeah, like
the
twenty
league
thousand
minimum,
dollars.
right? Like 2.8 million, right? That's the
Right.
league minimum contract, right?
Wait,
But you're
is that the minimum yearly? Or
750 is the minimum, I
oh,
believe.
okay. So you
It
did
might
4
be
years. Yeah.
yeah,
Okay.
so 4 year $2.8 million contract, right? So something like that.
I did a double take
So
there for a second. Okay.
but what happens is if you become a starter or you play a certain number of snaps or you get a certain
Yeah.
number of things, you get all these escalator incentives
Escalation bonuses and shit. Yeah.
which push your contract up. So maybe you do the same thing for running backs. I don't know. They're gonna have to figure it out though, because it's not
Yeah. It's
going
going
in
to be a
it's
battle.
not trend it's not trending in a good direction, and you
I
don't want to.
like. Do you know when the next CBA is? We
I
can
think we
look it up.
didn't we just finish that last year or 2 years ago?
Yeah, we might have. I
Yeah.
think that's why
So
Ursay said that because
yeah.
it was pretty recent. So,
I mean,
uh,
it's the worst union in all of sports. But anyway,
yeah, I know.
we're way the
And
fuck off topic.
no, 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 no. This is good, and that's why baseball players have it good because no cap and guarantee contracts. But I want to get back to running backs because it looks like you guys meaning the Jets are going to pick someone up, right?
It's trending in that direction.
We're gonna take it easy on Brees.
He's so looks like Dalvin Cook is coming in tomorrow to
Right.
probably sign his deal.
And there are a ton
Aaron,
of
so
free agent running backs out there still.
yeah, and so there was so a lot of things happened in Jets world in the last month since we've really talked about
Yeah.
it. We had like 30 fucking $1 million in cap space. Rodgers redid his contract, which he gave up 35 million and signed a 2 year, $75 million deal.
Right.
Took down from like one. He was going to be 1 year, 108 million, or so. It was all guaranteed.
And by the way, I'm a hater. I don't want to hear about how he's such a good guy for doing this. There's got to be something,
Well,
calculated for giving up $35 million.
I think he knows this is his last 2 years, and he doesn't want to surround. He was like, look at what it's
All
the
right.
same shit Brady did when he was in Tampa. Brady was like middle of the quarterback getting paid,
Yeah.
so that they
So,
could.
well,
So he's doing it so that we can pay people to come.
does Rodgers
And
have the same kind of revenue coming into him off the field?
as
I mean,
Brady,
Brady is like,
I mean, I don't think it's the same, but I still,
yeah,
I mean, Rogers is it was the State Farm insurance guy
no, that's
for
true.
for
Forever.
until the last 3 years
He
when
did
Mahomes
Jeopardy.
took over.
All right,
He
so
was running
you actually think
Jeopardy.
he was I have enough money, guys? Let's win.
Yeah,
Okay.
100%. I mean, that's what that's if you looked at his press conference after they
I
announced
don't care
the
about press
signing.
conferences, but
I
yeah.
know. After they announced the signing, they asked him, are you planning on playing 2 years?" And he said, "Yes. If all things considered, they gave up a lot to get me. I signed a 2 year, $75 million fully guaranteed contract down from 2 year, $107 million fully guaranteed contract. So he said that could change depending on how my body feels and what happens this year, or if we
Right.
have a magical season, is what he said. He didn't say win the Super Bowl, but he was alluding to if they win the Super Bowl, he's probably going to retire. Which, if he wins the Super Bowl, I don't give a fuck.
Yeah. Oh, you
Retire,
won't. You will
and
not.
dude, I will build you a statue out of whatever. So
Out of Ayahuasca. Um,
exactly. So that
oh,
being said,
comments on Sean
now
Payton? Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
he. I'll get to that in a second. So I think we need, if you look at the running back room, Brees is coming off an ACL. We've been telling everyone he's going to be ready week one. He hit, I don't know, 23 miles per hour on the sideline running the other day. I don't care. He's still got to hit the hole and cut, and running backs do not have a good track record first year back.
Yeah.
Michael Carter had a
Not
really
great.
down year last year. Israel Abanikanda, whatever his last name is, a fucking fifth round draft pick. So I don't
And
expect
and
him
and the
to.
guy you got a guy named Zonovan. That's a pretty cool name though.
And Zonovan Bam Knight, also undrafted guy.
Is
So
his name
between
Bam? That's cool.
that's his nickname, Bam. Yeah.
Word.
So
I
I
like it.
think those three guys are all a good 2, 3, and 4 running back in your running back room.
I
I
think you
think.
pick up a vet.
Well, I think you got to, and I think
Yeah.
Dalvin Cook. If you can get Dalvin Cook in here, and he's not your starting workhorse bell cow, 25 touches a game.
Well, he can be to start the year, and you break in Brees slow, right?
Right, right. So
You can
I
just
think,
burn a
and
bunch of carries on Dalvin early.
and I think having a veteran in that room that's
Yeah.
also ring chasing, that's been there before. Now
Yes.
I don't love Dalvin's off the field bullshit that he's been dealing with the last couple of months with beating his ex girlfriend, whatever the hell else he
Like once
supposedly
again
did.
with these guys, man. Yeah. Tyreek too. Always.
I don't know. I
I
don't
know.
get. I
Like
don't. I don't get it,
they always
man.
get off. But anyway, what I was gonna say. Yeah. So Dalvin, I don't know. So you think he'll like you guys? Are you guys up against the cap? He'll
No,
take like
I
a
think we
min.
still have room. I mean, we still
Yeah.
have plenty of room.
All
That's
right.
why I think Rogers did what he did, so that we could,
Word.
you know, get the Quinnen I mean, if you look at it, it all happened pretty around the same time. Quinnen's contract was redone, then Rogers restructured,
Yeah.
and now we're looking at bringing in Cook. And
So Dougie Fresh is I don't know what that. Let's not go with that. So the Douglas is doing some work.
yeah, I mean, I don't know, man. I think you have fucking Aaron Rodgers for 2 years. It's Super Bowl or bust, right? It's
Yeah.
not. We're not talking about just making the fucking playoffs anymore. We're talking like we need to win a championship for this to be successful in everyone's mind
You
at
guys
some
want
point in
Cole
time.
Beasley? I think we have Cole Beasley, an extra
You
one.
got Cole Beasley.
Yeah.
You got Cole Beasley. How do you feel about that, Doug? How do you feel
I,
about Cole Beasley?
He's gonna lead. He's gonna lead us in receiving yards. By the way, guaranteed. It's gonna be one of those years, right?
People
I
loves him.
yeah, I still think that's the Giants' kind of Achilles heel. I don't know about this wide receiver room at all. It's just either not ready or it's kind of retreads. But that can
Well,
be
who's going to
addressed
be your
as we
starting
go forward.
receivers? Who's going to be your starting
It
receivers this
sounds
year?
like. Oh, and by the way, it sounds like Waller's going to be a huge part of this offense. By the way, until he gets hurt. But you know who's getting a lot of looks on first team right now, and kind of like the second amount of targets. I mean, it's so early, but do you know who it is?
Hudgens, Isaiah
Paris
Hudgens.
Campbell.
Okay,
We'll
interesting.
see. But you're right. We have a million slot guys. Like
But if you think about the Buffalo
Hodgins.
Bills
Yeah.
before they brought in Stephon Diggs,
Hmm.
that they it was the same receiver room for
Yeah.
them. They had Cole Beasley. They had
Crowder. Well,
oh
I
no,
guess
that was
not back then.
he
But
replaced
Crowder's
Beasley.
on the
They
Giants too. We have
I don't
Beast
know.
and Crowder.
He probably won't make that
Yeah.
team.
It's
You
just
guys
funny. They collected all
between
the slot receivers. Wandale,
but they're all good little like
Sterling.
guys. Sterling, is he a slot guy or can he play outside?
At this point in his career, I'd rather have him inside. I don't
Yeah.
know. Yeah, he can play
And,
both though. You're right.
and then you drafted Hyatt. He's an outside guy,
He's
right?
an outside guy. I don't think he's going to be ready. But
No. And then you have Hodgins, right? Is that his name?
yeah, and I think he can play both. And we have
He's an
Slayton as a
outside
long
guy.
guy too,
And he's an
deep
outside
threat.
guy.
Yeah,
Yeah. So you guys, I mean,
it's all
between
right, but
Waller,
there's no game breaker there really.
I don't think that's fair. I think
Who are
Hyatt
you scared of?
I don't think you're scared of anyone, but
Yeah,
I do think that
that's my point.
you have to respect Slayton's over the top speed. You have to respect um, Hyatt's over the top
Hyatt, yeah,
speed.
they're going
You
to tell
have
that
to,
kid
and
just
I
to
think
sprint down the field.
I
Yeah.
can't remember is Wandell a speedster? Don't you have to respect his over the top speed too?
Um, he's a tiny slot dude. I mean, yeah, he's got
But he's
speed,
still
but
so but you still I think he's a 4-3 guy. Still,
oh yeah,
if
no,
he's
he's quick.
lined up against a linebacker
Oh
I
yeah,
mean,
he'll burn him.
I think that's the whole premise to your guys' offense is like just a guy that is going to pull the safety deep or
Hmm.
that can beat the
Yeah,
linebacker
yeah,
underneath,
and
and then
Slayton does that fine, I guess.
you got the guys like Waller and Beasley or Shepard that sit
Oh,
down
jeez.
in the
Please with the
zone
Beasley.
and
Is
they
he going to make the
oh God,
team? He
I don't
was
know.
quit a few years ago. I thought he
Well,
was
no,
he was
he didn't quit.
he was being bitchy about the vaccines, right?
He's definitely a Trumpster. He got cut by the Bills.
Right.
He went back to Dallas last year where he started, and like I don't think he made the. I think he got cut in training camp, and then
That's a
he just
garbage
took
franchise. So great. Let's pick him up.
he took the year off. Well, he knows Daboll's system. That's the whole
He
point, right?
does. Yeah.
That's why they wanted him because he knows Daboll's system. He knows what to expect, and dude, you want to go back to fantasy football for a minute? I mean, the guy's probably 33 at this point, but
He's got
he's
a
the
lot
guy
of
that he
passes.
always gets open. You
Yeah.
know, he'd have 7 catches for 75 yards
He
every game.
he's
That's a
probably
10 point a
way
week guy.
yeah, dude. He's probably way higher on like career receptions list than we realize.
I don't.
He,
I believe he. I don't doubt that for a second.
yeah.
But I mean, is it gonna make your team? I don't fucking know, dude. I don't know. But that's. I think your team is
The
predicated on
fact
Saquon and
yeah, no,
Daniel
it's
having lanes to
Saquon
run
and
in.
then Waller, obviously. So we're talking
Right.
third options at best. But
Right.
it's just funny. I didn't think we'd be talking about Cole Beasley today. And especially if you told me last year, like going into camp, we're talking about Cole Beasley being a starter, I would be like, well, Giants still suck.
Right. Well, maybe he's like your backup slot guy. I mean,
Yeah, it's
you
fine.
guys dealt with so many injuries for your wide receivers
Yeah.
last year.
Hey, but
So,
we have new turf now. Fingers crossed. The Jets too, I'm sure.
yeah. No, we don't change out turf in between games, just logos. So,
Hmm.
and the Jets definitely got a new third logo, which everyone's super excited about.
I haven't
That's
seen it.
exciting. It's the old logo. It's this logo right here. If I can grab it without ripping my microphone out. It's this logo right here. We're just bringing it back.
Oh, nice.
Bringing it back to 80s sack
Love that 80s shit.
exchange.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
I'm a
think that's
sucker
going to
for
be
it.
their. Me too. I think it's going to be the new uniform next year
I
because
love
next
it.
year they can change uniforms because the one that they have now
Bring
is
back Altoon and Wesley Walker,
trash.
baby.
Oh my god, yeah. It's the
Oh, dude, I
uniforms
was
they played
playing
in.
Immaculate Grid I don't know if you know that game, and one of the categories was Jets who have rushed for 1,000 yards in a season. And
Yes.
the way you play that is you want to like pick the most obscure answer you can. So I'm always living on the edge. I always get things wrong. I was like, okay, Freeman McNeil is probably correct, but a lot of people still remember him. So I went with, you know who I went with? Johnny Hector.
Not even
Motherfucker never had
close.
1,000 yards.
I
Damn
don't
it.
think he ever had 500 yards.
What? I
He
feel like
was
he was there
terrible.
forever.
He
Was
was. He was like a high draft pick and never
yeah.
panned out. He was just the Jets were the king of in the 80s.
Blair
Speaking of,
Thomas. Yeah.
yeah, they were the king in the 80s and 90s of drafting high running backs that never panned out. Like Blair Thomas, number 3 overall, never panned out.
Rough.
Um, yeah, but then we would trade for like Ronald Jones, and he would rush for 1,000 yards. Or
Hmm.
yeah, some stupid shit.
Adrian
So
Morel or somebody.
Ronald Moore, yeah, exactly. Adrian Morel. I don't know if he ever. I think he
Johnny
never hit a
Johnson.
thousand.
Yeah.
Thomas Jones, though, we picked that guy up off
Thomas
the scrap
Jones,
heap,
dude.
and he
Yeah.
had like 3 good years. So
He did.
we'll see. We'll see.
All right.
So
Anyway,
let's talk a little Mets baseball, Dougie.
yeah,
Let's transition.
let's get to the
Let's trade.
Mets.
We've got the trade deadline coming up on Tuesday.
And by the way,
Um,
we attended our game of the year and they lost. It was a day game against the White Sox, right?
yep, on
Quintana's first start.
Quintana's fucking first start. It was
But it was good
he
to go to the
pitched
field.
okay.
Thanks again
Yeah, it
for
was good
putting
to
that
go to the
together.
field. Too hot, too hot. We ended up drinking a lot at the Diamond Club with Brittany, the
Our bartender.
bartender that has been there for 15 years, and
Yeah.
she said she remembered us. I don't believe it, but
No.
maybe I remember her. Yeah,
She's a
she's
bartender. She's
definitely
supposed to say
she.
that.
Yeah, she's always there, which is
But you're right.
impressive.
Like once you said it, I was like, oh yeah, she does. Yeah.
She's
That's
been our bartender
always
like the
there.
last 5 years that we've gone for
Down there in
sure.
the Delta Club. Love it,
In the
man.
Delta Club, which me and Doug have we're like Norman there once a year. So
Not there yet, but oh, we gotta someday do that outfield club, obviously, too. I know this is just the first
yes,
year of it.
yes, we got to let the
Yeah.
prices fall on that a little bit.
Yeah.
But I will
Anyway,
say that the
hey,
game
Pete
was
Alonso's back.
trash, dude. As much as we had last year, no real injuries, right? We had a little Scherzer injury like in the
Yeah.
middle of the year,
Scherzer,
but
yeah,
uh,
missed about 10
but
starts.
but other than that, like last year, we had a pretty blissful season of no injuries, and this year the gods have paid us back.
Yeah.
The gods have paid us back, and this is why I was slamming the table so hard last year to make the moves
Oh, I know.
to
The
trade for the
deadline.
catcher at the deadline. We did nothing. We stood pat, and we got eliminated in the first round of the
And
playoffs
we
because
somehow lost a trade badly where we just gave a bunch of like, guys we thought were afterthoughts. The rough trade. Yeah.
for Tyler Naquin. Yes, yeah,
No,
those
rough for JD. Just
that
shuck up
trade
JD.
actually isn't that big of a deal in retrospect. The trade that we gave up for Tyler Naquin, like the two
Oh
kids
yeah,
we gave up,
Y-
those
you're right.
guys are hurting. They're going to hurt
Ooh,
us long term.
that's a really good segue. Thoughts on, and sorry to steal your thunder about the injuries, but yeah, it's just been a bad season. But
It's been an
it
awful
happens.
season.
But that Robertson deal was kind of like the anti Sandy Alderson deal. Your thoughts?
Everyone's fucking armchair quarterbacking this deal.
I love it.
I mean, I do too. We got this Vargas kid, infield prospect, 19 years old, uh, already.
Who's having a crazy year?
Yeah, and yeah, these guys are at rookie ball, but he's already the number 6 prospect in our
Yeah, man.
farm system. He went from the 18th ranked or 19th ranked prospect in the Marlins to the 6th in the Mets. So
Again, we're talking
shows.
rookie ball, but yeah.
But we
He's
gave up 2 guys. We gave up 2 guys last year to the Reds.
oh,
So
dude.
it's a
Yeah, De La
I can't
Cruz,
remember
or
their
oh,
names,
not De.
but both of them were probably 18 or 19, 20 ranked prospect in
And
our
they're killing it, right?
farm system. And one of them is already up in the big leagues and is a top 50 prospect overall.
Andy
Andy
Rodriguez or
Rodriguez or something like
something.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, something like that. I don't know.
See, I'm getting
So
that trade mixed up with the Lucchesi one or the Lucchesi one because the guy we gave up in that one is like apparently rocketing up someone's
yes.
farm system
Yeah.
too.
So it is what it
Um,
is, man. You got to give something to get something, and if you're gonna go dump at the end of the trade deadline because you're not going to make the playoffs. I don't, unless you're going to get yourself a bona fide like pitching prospect, like they're talking Verlander to Texas for Jack Leiter or the number
Well,
two
dude,
guy, what's his name, Owen Mills or something like
yeah.
that.
Basically, the Mets are like, hey, we don't want to trade him, but if these offers are going to be these offers,
Yep.
yeah.
No, yeah. So if we're
So
gonna move Verlander, let's
Jack
talk
Leiter
about
would be
Robertson.
insane. But yeah, I want to go back to the Robertson trade first.
I think it's a
Real
great
quick.
move. He
Yeah,
was he was a
I
free
agree.
agent at the end of the year. We can, if we really want him back, we can re-sign him, and
Yeah.
hopefully it'll be a different
In
year.
fact,
Buck,
re-sign him. I'll say it now.
yeah,
Go get him
Buck
again.
and Buck pretty much teed that up. He was like, I thought we were gonna have a great bullpen with Edwin and Robertson and Ottavino,
Yeah, and
six,
Rayleigh.
7, 8, 9, and
Yeah.
he's like, but all we got to watch was a great WBC, which is back to me my bitching at the beginning of the year. So I don't care that these guys
I
liked the
know.
WBC. It partially tanked our season.
It
Our
did.
closer was out
I think it
before
totally
spring
tanked our
training.
season.
Yeah,
And
it's we've never recovered. We've
I
never
wasn't
recovered.
I was never a ban the WBC guy, but that's definitely what happened
Just
here.
do it in
And
November at the end of the
yeah.
year, right? Or
But
don't use starting pitchers or let them pitch like
I
two
know.
innings. Like I don't care. I don't give a fuck about the WBC.
And maybe
I
don't
don't.
celebrate anymore.
I don't
Anyway,
pay. I don't pay like $150
yeah.
to go see a WBC game. I don't care.
I
I
know
pay $150 to go see a Mets
it's
game, and
not
I want
really
to see
for
them win.
Americans, is it? But so anyway, real quick on the Robertson trade before we move on. The reason I said it was the anti-Sandy trade, and I saw a lot of people complaining about this deal for this reason. Everybody was like, "Oh, we need pitching, we need pitching," and people are bitching, but it's like remember that year where we were just collecting AAA pitchers?
Right.
The ceiling on that was Drew Smith.
Right.
Do you remember what we traded Addison Reed for? Who was our closer? You remember the three guys? Can you name them?
Steven Nagosic,
The stash.
and like two other guys that I don't think pitch in the MLB anymore.
One of them ended up in the Cano trade. By the way, that was such a cursed era. And Gerson Bautista and Jamie Callahan pitched a couple innings and never was seen again. And of
Right.
course, we just said goodbye to the stash as well, Stephen Nagosic. So, sure, you can get some AAA filler to finish out a year where you go 77 and 84, but like, why bother?
Right.
Go for the kids. See if you get a lottery ticket here. Why not? Especially
Right.
for a guy like Robertson.
Right. Exactly. You got two guys. You got a catcher
Yeah.
who and a
Another
second base
catcher, but
prospect.
all right.
It doesn't matter though. Like
It
these kids
doesn't.
are
Yeah.
19. Pareda's already 23. Like he's gonna
Yeah.
be coming up
He
soon,
should be
and
rocketing up. He's had
uh,
a okay year.
it's okay. It's okay.
He
These
started off
guys,
really slow.
you
So
got to let them get their feet under them. But we are
right.
starting to refill our coffers. All of our prospects are in AAA right now, or they've graduated between Beatty and
All the
Alvarez,
big guys, yeah.
Vientos and Mauricio.
Mauricio's
Alex
the last one.
Ramirez is the only one that still hasn't quite made it to AAA, but he's
Yeah,
still
and
young.
he's not exactly killing it this year either. After really good last year.
He's
Um,
still young. I think he's in
yeah,
Double A. He's still young. So just like you said, I don't care what position. Just get the best young guy you can.
yeah,
And if they don't make it to us, at least we can turn around and deal them to somebody for a deadline deal next year, right? Like
exactly.
if we're in that position. So let's talk about Verlander and Scherzer now. The Robertson deal. He's a 38-year-old guy. We can re-sign him, like you said. I am also with you. Bring him back for the same deal next year if we can.
Yep.
But what do you want to do? What do you want to do with this team for the rest of the year? I mean, we're clearly not competing. The team has not been able to hit this year to save their life, and we've dealt with a
Dude, we've
plethora of
won two in a
injuries.
row against the Nats. We can go 30-3.
Right.
No, so the reality is that we don't have the bullpen and the back half of the starting rotation to contend this year. I think everybody agrees on that. I would if we can get something like Jack Leiter for Verlander is gone in my opinion. Go. I thank you, Justin. You're amazing. I know he's your favorite pitcher, but my God, if we can get that kind of haul and kind of clear that money, and I don't know how that works. I don't know how his contract works, but I know there's kind of an issue with Max because he has a player option. And Max, you saw what Max said last 24 hours, right?
Yes.
How he just like he needs to know what's going on here. I don't think he wants to get dealt, or am I looking at that wrong?
I think, they just did the soundbite of like the inflammatory shit, but at the end of the day,
Right.
like he's a 38-year-old guy with a player option next year, and his window in his career is closing. He's got
Yeah.
maybe this year and next year, maybe he signs another 1 or 2 years after that, just as like a back end guy. But he's definitely had a down year, and I think it's a declining year.
Well,
I
no, but
think
I don't think so. By the way, like Verlander and Max have been pitching great the last month or two.
they've been pitching good. I think the spin rate and the fucking pitch clock really fucked with Max a lot. So maybe you're right.
Definitely at first.
Maybe he's figuring it out now, and it
He
took him
did
a while to
seven
figure it
innings,
out.
1 run ball last night, and he's done that a lot lately. I
I
feel like.
well, you know what happened last night, right? I turned the game on, and I turned it on. I haven't turned on a game in like
Yeah,
2 months.
why you were that bored, huh?
No,
I'm kidding.
my wife's family came over. We did taco night, and my father in law was in the house, and just flipping around trying to find whatever sports game was on. I was like, oh, the Mets are on,
Sure.
and you know exactly the part I turned it on for, right?
No, I didn't see the game. I was out.
Oh, okay, but
Yeah.
it was top of the seventh, and Verlander's pitching a shutout, and I turned on the game, and
Scherzer is
sorry, Scherzer's pitching a shutout, and I turn on the game, and
instant
like
home run.
instant home run. Maybe I
You got the
saw,
touch, baby.
dude. It was like
He's
I
got the
think
touch.
I think I got in like the bottom of the sixth, and like whatever I turned on, it was like two flyouts. I wasn't paying attention. Luis Garcia, fucking Met killer, comes up to the plate, smashes a home run, and I'm like, ugh. Then Dom Smith comes up and crushes it. Turned it off. We won
Oh,
5-1.
our
You're
boy
welcome,
Dom.
Mets. You're
Good
welcome,
to see
Mets
Dom
Nation.
still getting an MLB check.
Yeah, right.
Um,
So I don't know, man. I'm all
so what
for
would you do?
trading.
Would you trade him?
Dude, these are 40 and 38-year
Yeah,
old pitchers. Like, trade them. If you can get a haul for them right now, because they would be
yeah,
the best two guys on the market. They're obviously not going to go
yeah,
to a
man.
team that's not a contender. If
Make
I'm
the Rangers
Steve,
or Dodgers pay for Verlander. I love it.
they both have the Rangers and the Dodgers can offer crazy good prospect packages.
Yeah,
Do it, and the same for
prospect,
Scherzer.
like organizational changing prospects, right? We would
Like
like jump up lists.
The Rangers number 1 and 2 prospects are like top 10
Yeah,
overall.
let's get
And
one.
like Jack Leiter, yes, we want to bring Al's son home, cool,
Uh,
but like
we'll never hear the end of that
he
shit, but you're right.
he's definitely not having a great year, and he's not even in their top 5.
Oh
There's
well.
better prospects you can get
Well,
besides Jack
you
Leiter,
remember the old adage: "There's no such thing as a pitching prospect." That's why you have to get a lot of them. So
right?
I love the move, but
I
uh,
mean,
I'm not
I
sure
think you
about
do it.
Max. I think you keep one of them, maybe.
I would trade them both there,
A
but
few
the
weeks
problem
ago,
is,
I was with you.
what do you do? What do you do now if you
The
trade them
problem
both?
is next
Because then
year.
you have
Yeah,
Quintana if you don't trade him. I would definitely trade Carrasco if I can get anything for him because he's gone after this
Quintana
year
and
anyway.
Carrasco. I'm sorry, they're not. Yeah, they're not going to get you anything. I don't
I
think.
mean, I'd still trade him.
Oh
So you
yeah,
got
I'd trade Carrasco in a second.
Maybe Peterson, maybe McGill, who are both trash. Maybe Lucchesi, who's
Yep,
been trash. So it means
trash.
you've gotta sign 2 to 3 to maybe 4 starting pitchers in the
Yeah.
offseason.
So
Who's that?
every
Who's
fan
that
is
going to
saying
be?
Lucas Giolito and the Yamamoto guy, and sure that's easy to type, but we're talking about free agent markets. You can't bank on getting both those guys.
I mean,
That's why I'm
at the
saying
end,
keep it. That's why I'm saying keep Max, and I think Max's contract is a lot more complicated to deal anyway. We'll see.
I don't care, man. I think that's what the front office gets paid for. And at the end of the day, if you can get these teams into bidding wars for both of them, and you can get offered a haul for both of them, separate deals, and you can
Fine.
make two separate
If it's an
deals,
absolute haul, yeah, why not?
then why not? And then
It
if we
clears
have
a
to
ton of cabbage too.
a ton, and then you can throw it at. I mean, even if you have to pay
Yeah,
to
even if you have to pay him off to get the prospects, do it.
whatever, man, get the
Stevie's money.
prospects. Get the
Yeah,
that's what he's supposed to be doing. Get the
right.
prospects, and then fucking see. I mean, of those prospects, hopefully 1 or 2 can challenge for a
A
starting
top
rotation
rotation spot.
position next year,
Yep.
right? And maybe we. I mean,
And
I
long
think
term, a top rotation spot.
McGill and Peterson, one of them's got to be able to figure out next year. There's something going on with them this year.
Yeah, yeah.
So they're both having down years and an
Peterson may
unideal
never
time.
see the rotation again. We'll see.
No, he may not. But McGill, I mean, he was so
McGill,
good
they
for
need to
2 years.
fix. Just
Hmm.
figure it out. We although Tidwell and Vasil and Hamill are pitching decently down there. Stewart,
Tidwell's the best
yeah,
pitcher in the minors in the second half.
yeah,
So
he's been on
he's
fire.
pitching really well.
And thank God
And
we're not going to be dealing these guys.
no, we're
In
not dealing
Parada too.
anyone.
Yeah,
Yeah, we're not dealing anyone.
yeah.
We are
We're
restocking
not
our
doing
farm
any Pete
system.
Crow Armstrong trades. I know you don't care about him,
That
but
I mean, he's a top 7 prospect overall in baseball. That trade is really,
ouch.
really bad.
Yeah.
Yes, that trade was really, really
Was
bad.
that Sandy or Brody? I forget.
That was Brody. That was Brody. Yep.
To think at some point I even defended that hiring.
I mean, if you had signed him, maybe it would have made more sense. But for a rental, it was. We were not
Yeah.
even. We weren't
No,
even
we
contending. It was so stupid. We were not good that year,
that
and
was
so
that
we
dumb
gave up.
year where they got Stroman, but like
We had that was the
basically
year
we're
after
like, now we
COVID.
don't have to sign Zach Wheeler. And I was like, what the fuck are you talking about? You're the New York Mets.
Right. It was before Cohen took over, and it was the last year of Van Wagenen,
Yeah.
right? So
Yeah, it was last year
it
of the
was
Wilpons. And we had to
yeah,
listen to shit like, now that we have Marcus Stroman, we don't have to sign Zach Wheeler. Marcus Stroman can take that spot. Sanity.
stupidity. But the coupons always did what they did. So which was sexually
Trade
harass
for
all of their employees and not
trade for
pay
over
any
the hill
money.
guys. Yeah.
Right. Right. Awful.
Love you, Fred.
Oh, thanks, Fred. Thanks, Jeff. It was actually Jeff. Fred.
It was
Fred.
Jeff. Yeah, you're
Fred
right.
was just dumb with his money, with his investments to other people. But Jeff he was trying to give his son the franchise to run, and the son had
Oh,
to run
God,
a franchise.
dude.
No clue how to run a franchise.
I
So,
just you can't stand the nepotism in those cases. It's so bad. Anyway,
well, I
that's
mean, what would you
ownership.
do if you had a son?
They get to
I
do
would do the
whatever they
same
want.
thing.
Mhm.
I would do the same thing if
Probably.
I could, but I'd goddamn make sure the kid wasn't a fucking idiot. And
Jim
that's
Irsay didn't buy the Colts. His daddy had him.
right. So, same thing with
Anyway,
Mark Davis.
oh God, yeah. We could
You
we
know
could
that
sit
you
here
know that
forever.
Al Davis bought
Dolan's
the Raiders for $10 million, and they're worth like they're worth billions now.
I
So
I would guess it was less than 10. I would guess it was something in like 1965, right? Like
it
Al
was ten
Davis was
million.
around for a while. Was it 10 mil in the 60s? Okay.
I think so. Yeah, I think
Yeah.
so. They
Either
were
way,
they were.
yeah.
I saw a list of like how much each franchise went for, and there's some on there that are so cheap because they've never been sold. Like the Giants, I think
Right. It was in a
they were
card
like
game.
$25,000. I think that's how much the
That the
Giants cost.
legend is Wellington Mara won the Giants in a card game. I'll believe that. Sure.
And then
I'm not
created
going to
two
fact check
actress
that.
daughters that both love to take their clothes off in movies.
Yeah.
Interesting.
God bless. Great American. And the
uh,
Giants Steelers are like the same family. It's weird. Like the Rooneys and the Maras.
the Kennedys.
Mm-hmm.
So, Doug, it's
Yeah.
been a great show. What do you
We
got to
we
say?
we calling it? All right. Well,
We calling it.
uh, ton of options. I'll let you do one if you want to, but I want to call out someone special for Viacom Diaz
Listening.
today. What's that?
I'm listening.
Yeah, man. A guy near and dear to our hearts. A guy who was probably a large baby as well. Big Sexy just retired, age 50 officially, and he retired as a Met. So props to Bartolo Colon, man. We'll always love you, and you helped get us World Series one year. So, and you hit that
I'll
home run.
never. I was at that game. I'll never
Oh,
forget.
that's
I was at the game in
dude.
San
Wait,
Diego.
hold on. Remember when we were saying like best Mets you've been to? I totally forgot that you went to the Big Sexy game too.
I
Man,
did.
you've been lucky.
I have. I have. I have.
So
Yeah, I
anyway,
love it.
Bartolo Colon.
Cheers, Bartolo. Vaya con Dios. Don't die though. Just retire.
Mm-mm.
Just
Don't die,
retire.
Bartolo. And honestly, if you want to pitch this year, just come on back.
I mean, at this
Can't
point,
be any worse.
you could be a fifth starter and just get at
Hmm.
least get us
You want
five
to eat
innings.
some innings? Yeah,
Yeah,
we've
yeah.
got.
Why
I
not?
think we
Why
got some
not?
openings after this week. So, well,
Why
when
not?
is the deadline? Is it the
Tuesday
31st? Yeah. Okay.
or
Or
Monday?
is it
Yeah, I
like
guess
early
Monday.
August now?
I thought it was August 1st. I thought it
Okay.
was like 4 o'clock on August 1st, but maybe it's Monday on July
All
thirty
right.
first. Who knows?
Well, it's gonna be quite a conversation probably next time we meet.
Yes, sir. All right. It's been great, Dougie. Audience, until next time.